evening, everyone, and welcome back to another evening, another night of It's Your Life. Many of you by now know already what this is about, and many of you have attended these calls every night since the 1st of April, because that's when we started. Now we're almost getting to the end of the month, but every time I think we heard it all, we have another speaker who is amazing, another speaker who tops everything and who brings new insights in. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mona Abderrahim Santel. I'm the owner of Mind Your Power, and the series is exactly about that. It's minding your power. It's knowing that whatever is happening outside in the world, whatever coronavirus is flying around, you still have the power to change your mind, to change your thoughts, and to change your personal life. Today on the call, I have Claude Ribaux with me.
Yes, hi.
Yes, and Claude is well, first of all, he's an amazing human being and a very dear friend of mine. He is also a therapist. He is a coach. He is a counselor. He is a speaker. He is a researcher. He's been involved in a lot of a very interesting brain research about hypnosis that went on in Switzerland. That's already, I think, 3 years, right now, Claude?
Yeah, 2.5 years.
2.5 years, so almost 3 years, let's say 3. And he also does something that is very interesting because a lot of people actually think that hypnosis is just that state, you know, close your eyes, feel relaxed, and go to sleep. But we know, you know, hypnosis is also what children are in all the time. Hypnosis can be also very active, and Claude works a lot with that. Now, today he will explain to you a little bit something that is called the flow state, which probably all of you have heard. He will also guide you and allow you to together with him, discover your flow state, go into a flow experience, and and discover much more. I don't want to say more because I don't know what else he's going to do. So I will leave the floor to Claude, and I'm very, very excited and very happy, Claude, that you are with us tonight, enriching the lives and the knowledge of so many people around the world. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mona. I'm really feeling very honored, and I'm very much pleased because whenever I get the opportunity, I try to attend any speech which is which is in reach for me, and I always experience this as refreshing and challenging in terms of expanding whatever I already know and what I want to learn more. Now, today we are expanding about something that has become particularly important in these times when people are sitting at home, do not move too much, when there are tensions, maybe even in the families or in the neighborhoods. People are getting depressed or are filled with anxieties. So we have built over the past many years the experience of the flow state. And it's very interesting that a very actual study coming up with data from China really shows that experience of flow states help people a lot when they have to stay home. So it actually is the best thing to help them overcome any bad side effects, any psychological problems, and so on, just because it is a flow state. Now, what is a flow state? And we are going to discuss with each other about that in a while. But a flow state is an optimal state of being, I feel the best, I perform the best, and it is really everything is great. So the character of a flow state really is I lose the sense of self. So I'm not no more concerned with, oh, this and that, and I have to do this. I'm fully absorbed by this activity. It's mostly an activity. It's not that I'm just sitting still over there. It's an activity. I lose any control or by the time and off time, because time doesn't matter anymore. And of course, for business and others, it's interesting that in flow state, I have total access to any amount of information. So I can actually process much faster than any information I get it. And even better for the ecologist, in flow state, everything seems to go effortless. So I don't have to work hard. I don't have to pressurize. I don't have to motivate myself. I'm just there. So the thing is, every single person has already experienced such states. I'm sure that you also have experienced these stages quite a lot. It can be alone. It can be as a member of a sports team. It can be as a member of a family. It can be in any activity like playing music, writing, gaming. So these are all flow-related activities. And so you can actually make a list of flow states. Of course, not every flow state is very fit for this time. So if you get flow by jumping from a bridge, now during quarantine, that's not the preferred flow state you can achieve because you are not allowed to go to the bridges and to take the necessary safety measures and all that. But if you're getting flow state from any other activity, even from endurance sports activity, which you can do at home, then of course you can get it even now. So my question is, from among you all, do you experience flow regularly, or do you have access to flow experience? And if you have, can you cultivate this flow?
Just let us know your thoughts. How do you experience flow? Yes, so we have someone saying, I experience flow states in meditation. Evita is saying, I can activate flow state only through exercise at the moment. Yeah.
There are various types of, I would say, flow types. So one type is I would call it the heart taker. This is the one who experiences flow by jumping from a bridge, by doing really exhaustive sports like running 24 hours and things like that, and also do things which are more dangerous than others. So you cannot do it very often. But you really need it the hard way. And that's one type. Another type is the type which goes for more meditation, experiences flow in isolation, like deep meditation, like going out and sitting in the forest, sitting at the river, watching the water flow by, and just being immersed by this experience. That is also one special type of flow personality. And then, of course, we have the typical flow guy who is flow searching every day, everywhere, like flow clothing, flow music, flow this, always a bit in flow, dancing. So that's a group. And the other group is, I would call it team flow player. You experience flow when you're together with others, when you experience a team like a football team or a handball team or a mountain climbers team, and you really do something together. You have to join as a team. Even work teams can be flow teams, and those are the successful companies. So you have 4 types, and of course, everyone can be all the 4 types from time to time. For example, I'm happy alone somewhere. I can be running and doing. I like the hard way. I like also to be in a team. So, but some people have the tendency to experience more one of the types. So 4 types you have.
So maybe you can explain a little bit more, Claude, for the ones who are still unclear, what is a flow state? What do you need to do?
You can do, what is a very interesting thing is that it's one of the best researched field in social psychology. There has been, or there still is, a Hungarian professor who is living and teaching at the University of Chicago. His name is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. It's a very difficult name, but he made a huge research on flow, huge. I think he has documented over 20,000 people's biography in terms of how they experience flow, what they do about flow. So he figured out a few things by which you actually can create flow. One essential thing is that flow is always a bit further than the normal. So if you want to stay within your comfort zone, then you have more difficulties to experience flow than at the edge of this comfort zone. And so if it's a bit challenging, but not too challenging. So Csikszentmihalyi made a nice table. He showed that if an activity is just normal, it will get boring after a while. So you actually reduce your activity of the brain. If the activity is too challenging, then you get anxious, you feel overstressed, and you have a breakdown of activity. So it's also not providing the results you want. But if you go to the edge of what you know, then this does attract your full attention, because it is challenging, it's not too challenging, so it's not provoking any anxiety, but still it is, you have to think, can I do it, can I not do it, will I succeed, is it, what will be the next step? So you cannot think of your car in the garage somewhere, or your bill you have to pay, or whatever. So because you're fully pushed into the activity. Now, you can actually choose any activity, but the thing is that many people choose physical activity, because this is very practical, because there you can regulate your ability to go to the edge of what you can do much better than maybe in other fields, like if it's more intellectual, or if you, for example, want to write something, you can write something today in an hour, you can write the same thing tomorrow in 55 minutes, and after tomorrow in 50 minutes. So every day you will be in full flow, because you're challenged, your brain is challenged, and you will be fascinated. Now, the other thing is, once you know that you have experienced such state, when everything went smoothly, you felt fully absorbed, you did whatever you wanted, you even didn't realize how time passed. So you can actually make a list of these experiences, and you can think of at least one type of flow experience you want to experience more often. And that's an important thing. You can learn how to automatize access to these flow states. Because some researchers, they say, well, flow is like love. You cannot produce it, but you can create a condition that it's more likely to happen. So in a way, I disagree. I'm of the opinion that you can actually more or less regularly produce flow with a system. Of course, this is individualized because not everyone is exactly the same, but we have enough methods to help people to really get into that state more or less easily on a regular way, even always if they want, more or less daily. Somebody wrote, flow is my favorite topic. And the other question was, I activate flow by doing. You are all things, learning by doing. Yes, that's exactly how it really works. So one of the things is, if you remember one of these flow states, you can make the experiment now. Go back to that flow state and remember this. Go back to that experience. Go fully into that experience. And once you're there, you will identify an area in your body where it really is. Where is that flow? Is it in the head, in your leg, in your stomach, in the area of your heart, on your shoulders? Anyway. And then what kind of feeling is that? Is that kind of soft, feeling like water, feeling like stone, feeling like air? The other question is there any movement in that state? Is it moving upwards, downwards, left, right? Is there any color to it? You never know. Now, whatever it is, this is a special thing. You may take note of that flow state, of your specific flow state, and you can start to trigger this flow state. For example, if it feels like air, you can start to feel like feeling airy, like air is filling my whole body. Air is going through my whole body. I feel lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Or if it is, I feel like water. So I flow. It is like the water flow. I'm just going like the water. Or if it is like waves, it's like the waves of the sea. They're coming and going, and I feel like coming and going in total effortless. So you can actually, once you have taken note of your state, you can actually start to experiment with it, expand it, go further with it, make it stronger, and put on a kind of anchor, like whenever I enter my office, I get this feeling of flow, or whenever I'm in front of my computer and I write my bills, and so on, you can actually push yourself into this flow state by just combining this. Okay, now try to experiment with that. Maybe one important thing is some of the flow states, they are like so unique, so much as great, so life-changing, that you may not want to choose those because you cannot change your life every day. So it's like too much of a kick, because at some place people have to have their regular life. So don't take the biggest of the biggest and the most unique. Take just something which you can use every day, and expand on this, and you will feel that it will start to really go through your body-mind system more and more day by day.
Maybe just, you know, out of interest, did you experience it in your body somewhere? Did you feel that when you entered that flow state? Where did you feel it? How did you actually experience it? Maybe. So I experienced it in my stomach.
Okay, and how would you describe that experience?
Very wavy.
Okay, and waves like the waves of the sea, or waves of like electricity, or I mean, it
Waves
can
of the
be
sea, I would say. Yes.
this
Yes.
coming and going and coming and going, or
No, just going and going and going and going.
great. And when you feel this in your body, what does it change? Yeah, you feel very energized.
It makes me smile.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great.
So anyone else who wants to share? So Evita is saying, once I'm experiencing flow state, I'm feeling like a flowing river, peace, ready to accept loads of information.
Wow.
Rachel is saying, I connect to the flow through my heart.
Wow. That's really great. That's, these are really, I mean, these are deep flow these are great flow states. One of the interesting thing of flow is really that your chemical system also changes. Recent research has really shown, and that's important for us, that you get into a totally different chemical condition. Like you have all those dopamine and all those chemicals which really makes you happy, which makes you powerful, which make you alert. They are all active, which makes you creative. As a matter of fact, in flow, you're at least 3-4 times as creative than normal. You're 5 times as productive. And you learn at least at a double speed. So it's really actually a crime not to spread out the information, how to get access to flow much further. Exactly. Purpose, to have a purpose is also kind of an extremely helpful way to create flow into, because once you know you have a purpose, you know what you're doing, you know where you move to, your attention moves to this area of activity. So you really get into the flow. One of the questions, what can you do now, and how, if you work with people or discuss with people, what can you do at this stage? What can you do at home? And to get more into the flow state. One of the methods I use, and I'm a big fan of, and also Mona, you already have advertised this for me, it is what is called active alert hypnosis. It is a hypnosis which is created by movement. Usually we think of hypnosis as something going into deep relaxation, deeper and deeper and deeper. But now with active alert hypnosis, we actually go into activity. So we use this a lot. Now, as I'm in my office, and here you see a bike. I use a lot of this biking to go into a trance and flow state. And this is very interesting. You don't even need any piece of equipment. You just can walk. You can do it by walking on the ground, stable walking. And you just tell yourself, my feet move automatically. My feet go on moving. And while I move, I get fresher and fresher, clearer and clearer. And the more I move, the clearer I get. The clearer I get, the easier I feel. And the fresher it is. And the fresher you get, the more you're absorbed by this activity. And the more you're absorbed by this activity, the more happy you feel, the more automatically your feet go. So it is really, you get into a trance state very fast, everyone more or less. So I help people who are critical of relaxation, critical of losing control, because flow is also, in a way, the art of losing control. Because you don't control your tax payment at the moment you're in flow, because you just don't bother for that. You don't control, many things you lose control, but you're so absorbed in one other thing. And for those people who have difficulties to practice the art of losing control, this is excellent, because on a bike, on such stationary bike, you can move and move and move. It's safe. Nothing can happen. You cannot fall down. And the more you move, the fresher you get. The fresher you get, the more alert you are. The more alert you are, the more precise your thinkings are. And at a certain stage, your legs just continue moving without your body knowing of it. Like a motor of a car when you drive through the city. I mean, you're not aware of the motor. You're aware of the traffic, of the houses, of the buildings, of people crossing the road or not, things like that. But you are not aware of the motor. So in this case, it's very similar to the active alert hypnosis. You're not aware of your legs moving. They just move as long as you want them to move. Now, by doing this, you get into a classical flow state. We know this from ancient time. We know that by dancing, in the Middle East, the Sufi dancers and so on is very famous. But there are hundreds of such methods by which people traditionally through movement went into kind of hypnotic, and mostly I would call that flow state. And but all these methods, they were slightly complicated to get access to, because it's not that I can go to such a teacher and learn it within a very short period of time. It usually took time, or it takes time. Now, and in the modern time, everybody wants everything instantly. So we can offer this more or less instantly. You can have more or less everyone in a flow state within around 10 minutes, just by using this simple and stupid method. Of course, as I'm training people in doing this, there are some, I would say, sophistications to that also, but in general, it is easy. Now, coming back to what is required when you stay home, you will find a number of people who have their bike in front of the TV. And then they are watching TV while biking, sport, doing something for my body. And at the same time, they see the news. And I would really discourage this. Why? Don't go into trance or any other thing in front of news, which can be good or bad. Of course, as bad news sell better, most of the news are bad. So you have instant impact of this bad news onto your body-mind system. So don't do sports in an intensified way in front of the TV when you look at things that are really bad, I mean, like news or things like that. Active alert hypnosis. Yeah, do you know it? Do you know about it? Have you heard of it already before? Its history is quite funny. It came out of university. So often we have difficulties in discussing things and proving that they are scientifically proven or scientific and so on and so on. So here it's the other way around. It came out of science and we had to prove that it was practical. And that's really interesting. It was just by an experiment. It was detected by a person called Eva Banyan, an Hungarian, who got a stipend during hippie time, 69 and 70, to Stanford, to California. And over there, she made some experiments. And she was so amazed that people who did this hypnosis or self-hypnosis or induced hypnosis on a stationary bike made such magical experiences that she decided to go on with this research, and it has been proven as being one of the most fantastic methods to really help yourself and also help other people. Now, maybe one of the fantastic things is now we come to how to overcome issues by all this. And now imagine, what are you doing if somebody calls you and tells you, well, I'm so depressed, everything is going down, I don't know anymore what to do, I'm feeling so terribly sad, and so on and so on. So, and that person is somewhere. And the more you talk, the less this person would listen, because it's emotional. It has nothing to do with reason and facts and figures. So what can you do now with this method, which is fantastic? You can tell a person to start move, like stand up, move. Now so I go a bit further away. So you see, you just can move your legs, nothing more than that. Now, while moving your legs, you can tell the person, okay, now start to move your legs, just move your legs. And while you move your legs, get that feeling of depression. Go fully into that feeling of depression. Don't try to push it away. Don't try to push away this anxiety, but feel it and move your legs as long as it is there. Continue to move your legs until this will be gone. And that's very amazing, because it combines another method which some people may know. It's called eye movement desensitization, reprocessing, EMDR, which is actually a very effective trauma treatment method, probably one of the most efficient one. And by moving your legs left and right, you do exactly the same thing what you do with moving your eyes left and right in EMDR. So if you move your legs left, right, something which you do in many sports, like cycling, like running, like even walking, whenever left, right, by this movement, your brain and your body-mind system starts reprocessing this bad information to such an extent that you will have removed it fully. So if you have an anxiety, if you're angry, or anything, you just feel it in your body, you start to move. And of course, once you can go out and run, you run until it will be gone. Some people run for 60, 90 minutes, and then it will be gone. Now, there is a question by Evita. Can we relate that when losing our flow, we experience heavy energy blockage? Yeah. What you usually would do, you would try to go around this blockage. You don't want to see it. You want to avoid it. But in this case, you feel that blockage and you start to move. Or you start to move and get into the feeling of that blockage. And you move so long that until it will be gone. So this can help you a lot. It's a kind of self-hypnosis. It's a kind of self-healing, and it's totally easy to practice. Maybe one joke is, I don't know if it is true, it is told that the Eskimos, the Eskimos were living in small groups in a very difficult environment. And of course, they couldn't afford to have massive conflicts among them. But of course, as these are all human beings, conflicts will be around, they are natural. So they had a very clever method. They would call that to run your anger. So once you were very angry because of your brother or sister or neighbor or whoever, and you just made one thing, you run straight ahead, straight, and you run as long as you could. And once the anger was gone, you had put a wooden pole. So from the distance you covered from the start to the wooden pole, you could actually measure the amount of anger or rage you had, but it was gone. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. The effect comes in by this left and right stimulation.
So, what you just said with the Eskimos, such a great example and such a great story. Just continuing to move until it's gone. Yeah. And many people think it is much more complicated than it is. And you made it just sound so easy. So thank you very, very much for that.
It is easy. It is easy.
So before we let you go, would you like to, just for everybody who maybe will listen also to the replay, what is it, in your opinion, especially for people who are stuck at home, or maybe even for our loved ones at home, what would you recommend? What would be the easiest thing to do? Now, obviously, we cannot run outside, like you said. We cannot go and jump from a bridge, like you said. So what would the easiest thing be to do at home?
Well, in general, the focus should be on what is running well. It is again another interesting approach, which is called appreciative inquiry. I don't know, we used it a lot in the past, and now it went into the skin. So if you call somebody or you talk somebody, what is your problem? So he's going there, and then where is it really bad? Oh, here. So, and then what do you think? Is it getting worse and worse and worse? So you really help that person to feel depressed, and how is this anxiety, and will it expand more, and so on. So you can actually create this. You make people sick. Now, do the other way around. What is running well? Where do you feel this flow? What are your little joys you have today? What was your most fantastic experience? Did you learn something today which was special? And focus on these things and build this. It sounds stupid and simple, but I can assure you, some people at this stage are so anxious, so terribly chaotic in their mind that even these simple things will make a big, big difference.
Yeah.
So,
thank you so much, Claude, for a lot of very interesting and a new aspect, a new way of seeing things, a new way of seeing maybe how we move nowadays, what we do, yeah? So I hope that everybody really enjoyed it. I hope that everybody will become more aware of the flow state they're in, put themselves in a flow state and do something productive while we're there. So thank you again, everybody, for watching. Thank you for being on the call. Thank you for joining us. And a special thanks to Claude for sharing this very precious information with us. Now, as usual, for everybody who has not been on the call yet, you can register at the first link to receive my emails with the calls, with the speakers of the day. We will have a slight change, though. We had these talks now since the 1st of April till now, every day. We will continue to have them every day until the 15th of May. That would complete 6 weeks. And then we will go into another interval. We will go into probably once a week a call, just to relax you a little bit from being on the calls every day. But you can still register at that link. For those of you who have not been with us before, you can go to my website, which is the second link here, MindYourPower.org. It's Your Life, all speakers, and you can actually watch all the replays of every single one who has spoken. And trust me, every single one had something really interesting to say. Very different topics, very different styles and techniques, but all very, very valuable, especially now in this time where a lot of people are at home, not everybody. And lastly, if you would like to speak, and you don't need to be neither a psychologist nor a doctor in anything, if you have a story to share, if you have something that works really, really well for you and you would like to speak in It's Your Life series, then please email me at the last link, which is my email address, and I would love to host you. I would love to have you on the show. I would love to spread more good ideas and positivity in this world. Again, back to you, Claude. Thank you
so much, Mona, for doing this. It's really a great thing you're doing. It's fantastic. It's this type of initiatives which will help people extremely, and which also bring a lot of people forward to do something positive.
Absolutely.
Instead of sitting at home and killing the time.
And thanks to people like you and many other speakers who we had who are really sharing and giving their time and doing something positive, this was actually possible. Without you and the other speakers, this wouldn't have been possible. So again, thank you to all, and I love and leave you for tonight and hope to see a lot of you back tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.